Hello and welcome back to Faith, Philosophy and Life with me, Mr. Shelton. I'm really pleased to be joining with you today, and over my shoulder here you can see a really famous painting by William Hunt. Now this is in an art gallery on Wirral, which is near where I live. This is very close to my house, and this is a famous painting called The Scapegoat. Let me just move out the way so you can see it. So what this painting is about an event in the Old Testament where the Jews once a year, when they were in the desert, had
two goats and one goat was killed
for the sins of the people. The other goat, the priest laid his hands on and sent out into the desert to carry symbolically the sins of the people with it. So this painting by William Hunt was symbolic of the scapegoat. So today we're going to look at Yom Kippur, which is one of the Jewish high holy days, one of their key festivals of the year, which is their day of repentance, which is where Jews go without food for 25 hours while they think about the wrong things they've done and they ask for forgiveness from God. So before we get in, here we go then. So before we get into our objectives, let's have our introductory sequence. Okay, so today's title then, for those of you writing titles down and dates, which is brilliant, our title is What Happens During Yom Kippur? What happens during Yom Kippur? And our learning objective today is to understand the importance of Yom Kippur within Judaism. Now, our literacy objective, normally within a classroom environment for me, would be to get information through discussion with others. Obviously, that's going to be slightly harder to do because we're not in discussion with others, but what you do need to do is you do need to access my Google Drive. The description and the information is below because there are worksheets there and information sheets that you will need to use during today's lesson. So, our learning objective today is to understand the importance of Yom Kippur within Judaism. It's going to be good if we can describe what Yom Kippur is. Great if you can explain the events of Yom Kippur, and even better if you can use some keywords to explain and describe it. During today's lesson then, we've got a media clip we're going to watch, we're going to extract some information, and then I'm going to give you a task to get on with as well. Today is very much about you getting on with stuff at your own pace. So, without any further ado, let's have a look at a random YouTube clip that I found about Yom Kippur. So I'd like you to give your attention over to this now, and let's see what new knowledge you learn. So Yom Kippur, random media clip, here we go.
Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds. Today's portion is Bonus Round. Yom Kippur. It's a bonus round. Yom Kippur, also known as the Day of Atonement, is the holiest day of the year for the Jewish people worldwide. Atonement and repentance are of utmost importance. Yom Kippur completes the annual period known in Judaism as the High Holy Days, or Yamim Noraim, which means Days of Awe. In ancient times, the high priest entered the Holy of Holies to put the blood of the sacrificed animals on the altar as a sin offering. Through faith, obedience to God's precise instructions resulted in atonement, or covering, for sin for 1 year. Today, Yom Kippur is a day of fasting and reflection upon one's sin. According to Jewish tradition, God inscribes each person's fate for the coming year into the Book of Life on Rosh Hashanah, and during Yom Kippur, God's verdict is made and the book is sealed. Yom Kippur draws all sorts of Jewish people back to the synagogue, including Orthodox Jews, Conservative Jews, Reformed Jews, Confused Jews, Secular Jews, Jews for Jesus, Atheist Jews, and wannabe Jews, causing synagogue attendance to soar. And that is Yom Kippur in 60 seconds.
Perfect, thank you, a random media clip. So, Tashlik then, okay, one of our key terms. During Yom Kippur, Jewish families go to bodies of water, that's rivers or lakes or the sea, and throw breadcrumbs or pieces of paper with their sins written on it into the water. Obviously, it was the scapegoat previously that went off into the desert. They don't do that anymore. So this is one symbolic way of showing that they want to say sorry, and they're wanting to start a new year. So Rosh Hashanah follows Yom Kippur. We looked at Rosh Hashanah last time. So what I'd like you to do now, if you wish to, is on a piece of paper write down something that you've done wrong or something you want to be forgiven for. For example, this could be arguing with a family member. That might be fairly applicable right now. And once you've done that, colour and draw water around it to represent Tashlich. And I want you to consider, and you may want to respond to this or write this in your book, is why do people want to be forgiven? What's the need of humanity to be forgiven? And give an example of when you've been forgiven, when you've been given a fresh start by somebody else. So if you could answer those two questions in your book and maybe do the other as a reflective little bit for you. So why do people want to be forgiven? And give an example of when you've been forgiven. Pause this clip and then get that work done, then come back to me. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now in your book is number between 1 and 8, leaving a line between each. So do that now. So 1, miss a line, 2, miss a line, 3, miss a line. I'm sure you know how to do that. So between 1 and 8. Okay, in a moment you will need to pause this clip because you're going to use the information that's on the screen behind me. What you need to do is you need to summarize each box into no more than 7 words. This is not a copying exercise. This is a you doing something with it exercise. So, for example, on number 1, on the afternoon between Yom Kippur, Jewish families eat a festive meal together. This provides them with the physical strength needed on Yom Kippur to help them focus on prayer, supplication, and reflection. So my 7 words might be families eat festive meal to help focus. Families eat festive meal to help focus, for example. So I'd like you to work through the others. I'm going to shift over here and you can just see my shoulder. And then when you've done number 1 to number 8, I would like you to write down what you think the most important part of Yom Kippur is in your opinion and say why. So pause this clip now and let's get on with that task. Brilliant. So what I now need you to do, and this is sort of our main activity, is I'd like you to think about what happens during Yom Kippur. So you're going to do a written piece of work. It could be a newspaper or a song or a poster or a poem. And in it, I would like you to make sure you've included the following things. What is Yom Kippur? How is it celebrated? What cannot happen during Yom Kippur? Why is it important to Jews? And what difference does forgiveness make to the person? I'll say that again. So what happens during Yom Kippur? How's it celebrated? What cannot happen during Yom Kippur? Why is it important to Jews? And what difference does it make to the person? So you're looking to complete either a newspaper article or a song or a poster or a poem. You can choose how you're going to present this work, and this should take you about 20 to 25 minutes to do, hopefully. Make sure you've paused this. Okay, so we said this lesson, it'd be good if we could describe what Yom Kippur is. Great if we could explain the key events of Yom Kippur, and even better if you could use some key words correctly to describe the importance. So this is our sort of final plenary activity. This is a little game called Taboo that I'm sure you've played before. I show you an image and you have to describe the picture without any using the key terms. Maybe get to WhatsApp, send a message to someone that's been doing this lesson from your class, and get them to see if they can work out what the word is. So you can't use the word, okay, but I'm going to show you this. So the word is that, fasting, for example, you need to create something that means that somebody else can work out that the answer is fasting without you using food or drink. That's the challenge, isn't it? So you can't use fasting or food or drink. Try and come up with something for that. Okay, you think you can do that one? Now try this one. So Tashlich. Okay, you can't use the word Tashlich, and neither can you use the word bridge. Okay, so the next one then, chauffeur. Okay, now I'm just going to say to you, you can't use the word chauffeur on this one, because I think it'd be quite difficult to do ram's horn. But you could talk about something being blown. So if you're up for a challenge, go for you can't use ram's horn as well as chauffeur, But if you want the easy option, just go for shofar not being used. Okay, so the next one then is Rosh Hashanah. We know that Rosh Hashanah is what follows the Yom Kippur. So what I'd like you to do now is to describe Rosh Hashanah to someone without using the term Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so here's a challenge for you. You've got the challah bread, or the challah bread as it's pronounced. Again, give it a go without using the term challah bread. So that brings us to the end of our time together today. Hopefully you've got some really good work there that you can show your teacher when you return. May I hope that you stay safe, wash hands, and God bless. And I'll see you in a few days' time.